I'm Brett Hayworth, and welcome to What's a Frequency, our weekly show on Siouxland Public Media. There was a flurry of candidates last week, with people filing to be candidates for the Sioux City Council seats. After the final deluge of filing up to the deadline at 5 p.m., 9 people are candidates for the 3 Sioux City Council seats that are going before voters in November. That large crop of candidates now means there will be an extra primary election on October 7th to reduce the field before the November 4th election. The final City Council candidates filers were Brett Watchorn, Marty Pottabaum, Paul Koskovich, and Jessica Lopez Walker, who was the sole woman in the field, plus 5 others in Ike Rayford, John Dembesti, Nick Davidson, Rick Bertrand, and Craig Berenstein are running for the council as well. In an atypical twist, all 3 current council members are not seeking re-election. Alex Waters, Dan Moore, and Matthew O'Kane will all bow out. At the end of this year, Moore will exit the council with 12 years, Waters will have served 8 years, and O'Kane will have served 1 4-year term. With the dust settling, so to speak, with the Sioux City Council candidates now being known, it's also a good time to check in with the trio of departing Sioux City Council members. So for this What's a Frequency show, we're devoting it to catching up with those 3 people to hear why they are not running, how they view their combined 24 years of service, and what their futures may hold. First up is Dan Moore, so thank you for joining me, Dan.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So for people who may not know you, the shorthand that I have is that you're an attorney, but are you a Sioux City native, and how did you come to live in Sioux City?
I grew up in the Des Moines area, in West Des Moines, and I came to Sioux City in 1977 to practice law with the firm that I'm still with after all of these years.
And
names have changed.
And give a plug, but what is the firm called these days?
Back then or today?
Both.
Today it's Moore and Corbett law firm. When I first started, it was Goldberg and Associates, and then became Goldberg, Maine, Probasco, and Berenstein. And then the names changed over the years, and it was a great place to work. It was I love the practice of law, and I still do this very day, still practicing law full time. And it's enjoyable. It truly is.
And I think of you as being very connected to the community. So I guess as a professional man and someone who cares about the community, what were you seeing? What was your impression of the Sioux City Council, and why did you feel a need in 2013 that this is my time to run?
Well, I had a lot of experience with prior city councils and mayors. I served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for 25 years. 3 of those 25 years, I was chairperson of Planning and Zoning. And being on Planning and Zoning, although it's a recommending body of zoning issues that come up, that we make to the city council, I had a lot of contact with the city council. I enjoyed the council members back then. I enjoyed the mayor and the ones that were elected from time to time. It just was really enjoyable, and that's why I think I managed to stay on for 25 years. But as I looked at the community, I thought, to just be real transparent, I was turning 60 years old, and there were 3 vacancies. 3 seats were up. And I thought, if I don't run this go-around, which would have been in 2013, I probably never will, and I'll probably regret it. I think I can add a lot to the city council and to the city of Sioux City. I've always loved the city of Sioux City. When I came in 1977, not only to practice law, but to get to know the community. And you know what kept me here for all of these years, 48 years plus going on? It was the people. The people in Sioux City are just terrific people. I felt at home. I was welcomed. And it was a big move for me. My family still my brother stayed in the Des Moines area. By the way, he was a frequent listener to the city council meetings, and he would give me some critiquing when we were done, so that was helpful. But over the years, I just thought I could add a lot. I felt I was doing that with the Plan and Zoning Commission. And when I was chair and I would take these items to the council, I would say why we either approved it or denied it. And yes, it was hard when they would vote against what the Plan and Zoning did, but it was a recommendation that we were making. So I decided in 2013 I was going to make a run for it. My family supported me, my law partners supported me, the church supported me, because I just really wanted everybody to know I'm really going to be in this. If I get elected by the people, I will be serving the people, and I'm going to give it my all, 110%, day in and day out. And I think I did that for 12 years. I'm a good listener, and I just really enjoyed working with the people of Sioux City and trying to improve their lives, trying to make it better. And some things we couldn't change, but we tried hard to do that. So that's really how it evolved, and I grew a lot during those 12 years, and just getting experience. But people were my first choice.
Okay, thank you, Dan Moore. And before I get into kind of some issues that were when you first came on the council and maybe that are still here today, was there a council person or two that you thought did it well, so to speak, if you want to maybe mention someone?
Oh, I had a lot of role models. In fact, the ones that got me interested in the Plan and Zoning Commission, Bill Skinner, when Bill Skinner was serving on the council and was serving as mayor, he was a good role model to follow. The early years of Bob Scott, good role model, good mayor, and just a good council member at the time that he served as a council member, but as mayor.
So that would have been back in the 1990s.
Yes,
for his initial
years.
mayor term, and then
Yes.
before his rebirth as a second.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
The second go around.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Which has been exciting. I really have loved serving with the current council members and with the mayor. Don't always agree, but you know what? People look for that. They don't want necessarily 5-0 votes. They, if it's 3-2, 4-1, as long as we have an open and honest discussion. And I think that's what we've had over the years.
Yeah. Thank you. My guests for this episode of What's the Frequency are the 3 Sioux City Council members who have decided not to seek new terms in the November election, which is very notable, and it's also going to lead to a big loss of tenure and institutional knowledge. My current guest is Councilman Dan Moore that you just heard, and later in the show, we will hear from Councilman Alex Waters and Matthew O'Kane. As best you can recall, what were some key issues when you first ran in 2013? What was happening in the city at that point? And if I could ask, how many people did you compete against? You defeated? Was there a few that it was like 5 people running for 3 spots, or do you remember that?
I think we had primaries for each of the 3 elections because you narrow it down to 2 people per open position on the council. And so I remember we had some primaries, but I was a top vote getter for all 3 elections that I ran for.
I had forgotten that. Yes. Okay.
I was.
Congratulations, so to speak.
Thank you.
That's notable.
Yeah, I was real pleased. I thought I must be doing something right. Not everybody agreed with my voting record, that's for sure, but I always gave a decision why I was voting the way I was. And oftentimes, being a lawyer, I felt sometimes a need to talk about the pros and cons of what was before the council to make a decision. And it might be something I would be for or I'd be against, but I'd still lay out, well, here's the reasons why you'd want to vote for it. Here's the reasons why you might not want to vote for it. And I'd try to lay that out for the other council members and the mayor. And I really liked doing that. And sometimes I'd be on the short end, and sometimes I was in the majority. But the early issues that when I came on would be the riverfront development. That was going on at the time. And it was important that we did that right the first time, the riverfront development. Early on, we had a large sum of money left to the city to develop a park, Cone Park. And I remember that started out looking at lots and small spaces in the downtown area, which might have been compatible at the time. But for what we have today, it's just tremendous. And the staff, I give the staff a lot of credit for what we have for Cone Park today.
And just to explain, Cone Park, it's in the winter. It has snow.
It has tubing and
tubing
snow.
and such.
Yes.
And now there's a mountain bike park that was added the last summer.
And
so this is the second year.
Mountain bike park is just the mountain bike trail is just really absolutely
love it.
Superb. Yes.
And as you're saying, I had forgotten that there was lots downtown. But so you like where it went to Singing Hills and maybe where it's located there.
Yes. It was a lot of space, and that's what we needed. It really grew as it was being developed. It evolved into what it is today. Mm-hmm. Many people had a hand in that development, and it's just really a spectacular place. But I knew that we needed to have the more quality of amenities that we had. That helped economic development. Who wants to come and live and play in Sioux City? And the education, excellent educational growing up for the kids. We had great education that we were providing to them. And so it all comes together, and that goes to economic development. That's how we were getting large industrial businesses, new companies coming to Sioux City. And I wanted to see that grow, and I wanted to see that grow in the right way. You have to maybe give one of those tax rebates or abatements and work with developers to get new businesses to come in. Equally important to me was that we would continue to grow the businesses that were here and that were here for a long, long time. And I didn't want to forget those businesses. I wanted to focus on those and try to improve what they had, whether they wanted to grow in employees, grow in what they were doing, whatever it was. I wanted to come to the table and help them out with that. And that's what we did over the years. And I saw that early on. The other thing I really enjoy is that we have built a lot more maintenance funds for maintenance and repair of what we do build. We build and then we maintain it. And it's good to maintain it because we know what the price is when we don't maintain. And so that was very important to me as well.
And is that, I don't know the right term, but like a, so to speak, rainy day type fund?
Right.
So that when something pops up, we do have some money to set aside. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll have some money to make those repairs. We won't let them go. Roads, streets, we're always trying to catch up. We'll forever be catching up unless we can really, really make an effort. But we have made some progress on improving our streets, and but it's very expensive, and that's why we can't just do them all at once. It has to be programmed in. I think we have an excellent capital improvements program budget before us. I think we have a great operating budget. And I think we try to stick with the budget as best we can. Tax levy, when those tax statements come out in the fall time, people are saying, why did my taxes go up? And they want to see why they went up. What did they pay for? Did they pay for more police officers, more firefighters, more EMS people, the safety of the community? How did we spend the money? And I think we're transparent when it comes to how we spent the money.
Okay, thank you, Dan Moore. And we're chatting here for What's the Frequency with the 3 Sioux City Council members who have decided not to run for re-election in November. Coming up soon, we'll have also Alex Waters and Matthew O'Kane. Last few questions. Is there anything that, as you leave, some issue or something that hasn't been resolved to where you would like it to be? That's kind of hanging, so to speak.
Sure, that's a great question because there are a couple of things. I'm really proud of the work we've been doing on the wastewater treatment plant and getting that ready. For those citizens that have been here for many, many years, they knew the wastewater treatment plant needed work and it needed to have more than just repairs. And so we're taking that step. Very important step to take, very expensive step to take, but it needed to be done. So I was happy that the council and the mayor saw that that's what needed to be done. So I hope to see that finished in the next several years.
And that's about $450 million. Am I close to that?
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm sorry, I don't remember the numbers real well, but it's might even be higher. It's in 3 phases.
Right.
And so I think in phase 1, that's what we're looking at.
Okay,
but I think we hope to complete all 3 phases.
And I was going to ask about the wastewater treatment plant, so thank you for bringing it up. Any other project that's
the
hanging,
one that,
so to speak?
The one that I'm kind of on the I'm on the authority board, the Woodbury County Law Enforcement Center authority board, and we've had a lot of challenges, as everybody knows. The city participated so that it would help the county with the whether we're going to have a new jail facility or not. And we did participate in that, so they had to get 50% or more of citizen approval for that. But there have been many challenges. We're meeting those and trying to do our best to get that completed so that we can have something that's going to be long-lasting. And there, on that law enforcement center that we have built, that the county has built, we have a maintenance fund, and that's going to continue to grow, so that we can maintain that facility once we have it completed. So other projects would be to have more industrial area that I'd like to see, to bring industry in. I think our downtown is improving. I think we've made a lot of improvements. I would like to see that grow and become what it has become now is exciting, and I'm very proud of the steps that we've taken. And you know what? All parts of the city are treated equally by the council. We look at everything that comes before us and beyond. So those projects will need to be completed as well. And the economic development will always continue to be an important aspect. The airport, I think we're doing a good job on our airport, serving all of the communities that use the airport. I'm hoping to see that grow, and I'm hoping to see that the 185th will be able to continue to be a great partner as they are now with the city of Sioux City.
Okay, thank you. And then final two questions for you, Dan Moore, Sioux City Councilman Dan Moore. State and federal, the actions by state authorities and federal authorities can impact what local municipalities do. Would you say City of Sioux City and Iowa cities generally, are they more constrained by when you started, constrained by state or federal edicts or rules or what have you? Has it gotten more onerous compared to 2013 when you joined to now?
Yes, I would say it's the home rule is not as strong as it used to be, and I wish we could bring that back. In so many ways, we are constrained with budget decisions and how that's going to impact what we do in the city of Sioux City. So I'm hoping that we can continue to have our meetings that we've had legislative day with our state legislators and really try to make a difference and get things back to the council or the councils in the towns and cities that we have in Iowa, that they can continue to grow and make decisions for what is best for their community. But yes, I have seen that become a stricter constraint on what we do with our budget.
And is there something with property taxes where the state, somehow local municipalities don't have the ability to make budgets with property taxes as they used to?
It's more difficult than it used to be, especially if we're held to a certain percentage, where we've done a great job over the years of holding the tax levy, not increasing that significantly, but holding it down. And then as things come up that where you do need some more money, you're limited by the percentage that you can make that increase. In a lot of ways that is good, but in some ways you can't do things within the community that really need to be done, especially for the infrastructure of the city. That's what really hurts. Dealing with home grants, that kind of thing, helping people get jobs credit that's available. Those are still in place, but they're not as strong as they used to be.
Okay, thank you. And then final question for you, Councilman Dan Moore. As you've described here in the last few minutes as we're talking here, you obviously have really enjoyed being a councilman. You talked about why you did it, why what you enjoy about it. So why was it time for you to no longer be on the council? Why did you decide not to run?
Yeah, there were a lot of reasons, and it was a very difficult decision for me because I do enjoy it. And I thought about halfway through, I thought, the day will not come that quickly, and it did come that quickly. I served 3 4-year terms, 12 years. And when I serve, I put my heart and soul into it, and I really give it my all. I do the work, I do the homework, I study, I try to come up with solutions that will help the community grow and help the community be safe. And so it was most difficult to say, I will not be running for a 4th term. But what I did do, because I anticipated the question, was I'm still going to be active in the community. It'll be beyond public office with my activity, but I'll always volunteer. I'll always offer to help. If the mayor, the city council members, anything they need help with, I want to be the person that can volunteer to help and to continue to be involved. Who knows what 2 years from now will be like? And I say 2 years from now because that's when the mayor's term is up. And I will say this, I have enjoyed working 110% thoroughly with Mayor Bob Scott. He is great to work with. He has a lot of wisdom. He has a lot of vision. And he really has a lot of people on the right track.
And he has announced that this will be his last term, correct? So in 2 years, when it comes up,
he'll have to decide. He'll
Okay.
have to decide what he's going.
Okay, I thought for sure that he had announced that he was not running.
Well, there's still a lot of people that are talking with the mayor.
Okay.
And And whatever it is, it is. And I don't know where I'll be for sure myself, but I do want to leave that door open because I love this community. I've always loved Sioux City, and I want to give my time, attention, and care to this community until I can no longer do that physically or in other capacities.
Okay, thank you. And we're wrapping up here with Dan Moore. We're talking with the 3 Sioux City Council members who have decided not to seek new terms in the November election. And we'll hear after this short break, we'll hear next from Alex Waters and then later Matthew O'Kane. But thank you very much, Dan, for coming in and having this really wide-ranging discussion about your tenure as a Sioux City Councilman.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, Brett, and I really appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
And back for more on this episode of What's the Frequency. We're chatting with the 3 Sioux City Council members who have decided not to seek terms in the November election. We first heard from Councilman Dan Moore, and now we're about to hear from Councilman Alex Waters, and later will come Matthew O'Kane. The conversation with Alex Waters came last week as he came first to KWIT News to announce that he would not be running for re-election, and then we had a broader discussion of his career in public service. You're here to, I guess, kind of give first notice of what your decision is on whether you're running again this time.
Yeah, no, Brett, I appreciate the time and you reaching out. I was thinking, I know you and I have been in contact a little bit leading up to this, and I appreciate it very much. Just you trying to keep updated, and keep the people informed. And you and I have worked together now, gosh, for a long time. I remember being interviewed by you for Woodbury County Board of Supervisors and other things before that in various roles. And so I wanted to sit down here with you and just have a conversation and just announce and let the people know. I've let some of my closest friends and family know, but just that I will not be seeking re-election this year. It was a difficult decision, one that I wrestled with and thought a lot about. But ultimately, I think it's a best move for me. Yeah, life is short, and I got some personal and professional goals, aspirations I want to chase after a little bit and spend some more time with friends, family, loved ones. And it just feels like maybe it's time to take a little step back, gain some perspective, and just reflect a little bit. And it's not to say that I don't believe in public service, because as you know, that's something that has been instilled in me for a long time and my whole life from my parents and mentors alike. And so I'll always be leaning into that and looking for opportunities to serve, but I think it's important to maybe just take that step away right now.
Okay. And for just to remind people, you were first appointed to a Sioux City Council position in February 2017, where there was an open seat, and then the first official full election came in November 2017, and these are all the city councils are for 4 years terms. So you were elected in 2017, 2021, and now this year, after 8 years, you're saying I'm not going again. What do you look back and see as achievements or things that you enjoyed about the 8 years on the city council?
There are a lot. I think whenever it feels like the end of a chapter, you reflect back and think about those victories. Sometimes you think about the things that you wish you could have done a little bit more prominently than the things you were able to achieve. But I try to look back and think about those moments where I think we did really a good thing for the people of Sioux City. I think that a couple of them would be like one of the first ones I remember getting into was the reinvestment district. And it was the utilization of a state program where we were able to capture some more taxes that normally, traditionally, were going to the state, but the state was going to allow to rebate them for specific projects to come back to communities, as long as it was increasing or utilizing a hotel motel tax and generating it into a specific area. And with that, we had the Courtyard by Marriott, we had the Avid property, and ultimately Then we had as well, the Warrior was a part of that. And then finally the Expo Center, and that was able to get that off the ground and running. And I mean, Brett, you drive around the community or downtown and you see that and how it just changed the entire landscape. And it wasn't without difficulty. I mean, I remember after that decision, I was in Saturday in the Park and a gentleman came up to me and was screaming in my face about taking that parking lot away from the convention center and how it was going to kill the movie theater and downtown. And that kind of gives you the taste of public service and the gravity of some of these decisions. But I knew that in my heart it was the right decision, and I think looking back now, I still stand by that decision, that it really was a good thing for our community. You look at what the Expo Center has gone on to do, and the amount of events that they've hosted, but also the people coming to our community. That was a big one. And then obviously, I mean, you can point to the redevelopment of the Badgerow building, the Warrior Hotel, some of those things, the Davidson building, all of those, the new apartment complexes. There's more apartment living in downtown Sioux City than there ever has been. And I think that is an influx of not only capital and young people, but I think also them, whether it's spending their dollars or just going to restaurants or downtown shopping or all different kinds of things. It changes the energy of a community, and the more we lean into that, the more I think we will grow. So that was a big deal. And then another one that I would point to that I think doesn't get as much love, or maybe it's just not as much understood, the impact that it had, but it was something that was really important to me, was the establishment of a dedicated convention and visitors bureau. And, we had always kind of hosted that under the city and worked through those and had dedicated people working on that effort. But creating a separate entity that was funded in part by the city of Sioux City, but mostly through the hotel motel tax, a portion of those funds to direct towards that entity to really grow that effort and bring more people to our communities, staying at our hotels, going to our restaurants. I mean, you look at just the last 2 years alone, we've had record revenue coming in through hotel motel tax. And that benefits not only taxpayers to where then it offsets, some of the expense that we have, but it also benefits because then it fuels their budget to where they're able to do more and incentivize more conventions, more activities, more sports tournaments, all kinds of things. I mean, a few of those I could go on, but ultimately, like, a lot of those things, those are some of the top ones that stick out to me, because I think that it really kind of changed the landscape in a lot of ways about what we do and how we're bringing in revenue, and hopefully expanding the pie rather than just always whittling it away.
Thank you, Alex. I'm speaking with Alex Waters, and we're talking about your decision not to run. I'm always curious when I talk to elected officials, when people reach out to you, and so rank and file Sioux Cityans, do you typically, are they calling you, or are they emailing you? Do you get contacts like every single day of the week, multiple contacts per day? Just kind of give the flavor of that.
Yeah. Well, if you know me, which I know you do, I'm pretty much everywhere all the time. It sometimes feels like I rarely am home, but it's because I enjoy being out and going and doing things, whether it's community events or dining in our downtown or all over the region, to try some new restaurants or at least support those local efforts. Or even in the grocery store, just bouncing around all over Siouxland. I get stopped quite a bit. And it's a mixed bag, of people wanting to talk to me about specific issues or maybe questions that they had. Or, I would say that no one's controversial or confronting me necessarily. Maybe about a specific decision, thinking back to that day in Saturday in the Park with the hotel in the parking lot. Some of those do happen. But if they're going to say something just in general about service, it's usually the appreciation.
Okay.
And just the willingness to serve. I went to a funeral, and on my way out, one of the gentlemen that was there assisting me out the handicap door just said, "Thank you for your service. It means a great deal what you do every day." And, sometimes, like I said, you worry about the decisions you make that are unpopular or the things that you wish people understood more of. But I'm going to try to hold on to some of those conversations as well, where people recognize the sacrifice that ultimately comes with public service, because I guarantee you people don't get into this to get rich. Or at least I know I didn't. I got into it because I believe in this community, and this community's invested a lot in me and believed in me and inspired me. When I first came here to go to Morningside and had my accident, they rallied behind me. And then I took my first, real job here in this community and was able to get back into it. And I've advanced my career. I've advanced my career here. So to serve the community was a really big honor for me. But those conversations I'm always happy to have with people. And a lot of emails, people will reach out via email or even social media. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty active there as well. So they'll send me a message just asking a quick question. And I think that's part of the role. People should be accessible. They should always be willing to not only listen, but hopefully answer and provide insight, because I know I can say for a fact that some of the things I've pushed for or hopefully been able to make a difference in have come because different constituents or community members have said, "Have you thought about this?" Mm-hmm. Or "What about this?" Or "Why is it like this?" I think that a perfect example is when we updated the fats, oil, and greases. If you're not a restaurant or something like that, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But the grease traps for restaurants can really get cost prohibitive. And, we were starting to hear from a lot of restaurants and places that wanted to open in our downtown that it was expensive and they couldn't make it work. So I credit Tom Pingle and Era and their team, to really digging in and trying to figure out an avenue that would both protect our wastewater system, but also meet in the middle for someone that maybe wants to start a new restaurant and be able to allow them to afford to do so without breaking the bank. And so, it was those moments where you have those good conversations and things can come of it for the better of everyone.
And to remind people, you've been an employee at Morningside College for how long, and what is your current role there?
Yeah, it seems like it's went quickly as well. I'm at Morningside University now. This will be my 12th year, and I've held a couple of different roles. Started as a first-year advisor, working with first-year students specifically for 4 years. Got into a little more of the career development aspect, connecting a lot of students with job shadowing, internships, part-time jobs, and now I've been the director of alumni engagement coming up on 4 years. And so getting to work and connect with alumni all over the globe, connect them with each other, but also back to campus. It's been really rewarding and amazing to see the network, the web of alumni, not only across the globe, but also right here in Siouxland, and working with some of them and connecting with them and just hearing their stories about campus, but also witnessing the impact they make wherever they are.
Okay. And then to wrap up here with you, Alex Waters, back to where we started, you mentioned a reason that you felt the necessity of stepping back to make your decision to not run for city council again. Can you pinpoint that a little bit more? Like, when did you come to that decision, and what precisely, why not, I guess?
Yeah, I wish I could give you an exact moment or an exact reason. I will tell you that it was something that I went back and forth on a number of different times and gave a lot of thought to it. And but a lot of it came down to that life is short, and I like to think that I'm relatively young and still have some other goals that I want to pursue.
You're 30 what? 30?
39. 39. Okay. And so I still have a couple of things that I want to really pursue and dedicate some time to. And so I'm looking forward to those things. If there's an opportunity to serve my community or anywhere in the future, I'm not going to shy away from that. I would look forward to it. But I think it's important. Sometimes elected officials can get so ingrained and serve for so long that I think you get tunnel vision. And unfortunately, I think, that sometimes in communities such as ours, you get used to doing things the way they've always been done. And I was one, at least it felt sometimes on the council, trying to push the system and try different things. And that's difficult. It's also very difficult working when you're so constrained, especially fiscally, with our property taxes that we are collecting when the state of Iowa is stripping millions of dollars away from city budgets. I don't envy anyone that will be on the city council this coming year, because the budget shortage that you will be facing due to the state legislature is going to be vast, and that's difficult. So I think a lot about the staff with the city. I worked with some extraordinary people, and I'm sad to feel like I'm leaving them. I've always tried to be a voice for them, an advocate for them, and encourage them to reach their potential. But I think ultimately now is my time to kind of focus on myself a little bit, my own personal and professional aspirations, and just put this on hold. It's not the end of the book, but the end of a chapter. So stay tuned, and we'll see what the rest shows.
Thank you. And then one follow up. You'll be staying in Sioux City. You're not necessarily leaving.
No,
Okay.
I'm not in a hurry to go anywhere or leave the city. I love my job at Morningside. I love this community. And so no, I'm really enjoying my time here. And if something opens up and draws me elsewhere, the only concern I really have that's pushing me is right now the stipulations on state Medicaid. So if that could change, if we could pass some bills that would make it a little better for people with disabilities to remain in Iowa, that'd be great. But at this point, I love calling Siouxland home.
Okay. Thank you, Alex Waters. We really appreciate you coming to KWIT News for this. Thank you.
No doubt. Thanks for taking time, and I appreciate everything that you do. This radio station does a great deal and goes to great lengths to give an informed information and news and cover those things. So I thought it was important that I sat down here with you. And
thank you again, Alex Waters. Thank you very much. Not to seek new terms in the November election, which will lead to a loss of tenure and institutional knowledge. We've heard from Councilman Dan Moore and Alex Waters, and now we're checking in with Matthew O'Kane shortly after he ended his work day, and I guess it's week 2 of the school year at the Sioux City School District. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. For those who don't know, how long have you lived in Sioux City, and what has been your career and community involvement up to this point?
I have lived in Sioux City my entire life. I'm a lifelong Sioux Cityan, so 38, coming up on 39 years here. And community involvement has been everything from the churches that I was involved with when I was younger. I've volunteered at organizations like the Warming Shelter, organizations like the different various food pantries here in town. I was a Boy Scout leader for quite a few number of years. I volunteered with the Girl Scouts, all sorts of different things.
Okay, thank you. And then as far as your teaching career, tell me about that.
Well, I had this terrible thing kind of up in my life, and that I had a very rare cancer when I was 24. And it kind of caused me to examine my life, and I wanted to really do something that I loved and had a passion for. And teaching art has always been one of those things that I've really approached as being something that brings me a lot of joy. So I went back to school to become a teacher. I started out in elementary schools, and I was fairly good with elementary school kids, but I was working in South Sioux, and I had this feeling that that I needed to invest my talents in my community and where I lived. And so I wanted to start teaching in Sioux City. So I took a position with Vibe, the virtual school through Sioux City Schools for 2 years. And then I was transferred to West High. And I am just happy as I can be there. This is my third year at West High. And it truly is, being a lifelong West Sider, I enjoy the fact that I am teaching kids from the West Side art, and putting my talents in my town and my community.
Thanks for sharing that. I wasn't sure I knew quite all that information, but so thank you.
Yeah.
And early in the conversations with Dan Moore and Alex Waters, we talked about why they didn't run. So I guess this is the point where I want to hit that. Why did you decide not to run for a second term? And what have people, since that's gone public, what have you heard from people about that choice?
Absolutely. So it's a very emotional time, I'm sure, for all three of us. There's a lot that went into the decision for me not to seek reelection. A lot of little decisions that happened. I had lots of conversations with my partner, my wife, Letty, and she has taken on so much of the brunt of the load of raising a family. I am the only seated council member that has school-age children, and that means that we have activities. As you're aware, I am involved with activities for both of my school-age children. I've got one child that is off to college, and this is his first year of college. And it's a very, very busy time. Over the last 4 years, she has been the one dropping them off the practices. She has been the one picking them up from their programs or picking them up from school. And anytime that I had a meeting, she was the person that was, shouldering all of that. And she's been great about it. She's very supportive if I wish to seek reelection. But at the same time, it's all time that I've missed out on with my children. I miss not being able to go to soccer games. I miss not being able to go to volleyball matches. And especially during these years in their lives, I want to play a part in that, and I want to be there. I don't want them to see an empty stand because I had a meeting I had to go to. That being said, it's more than just my family that has gone into this decision that I'm making, and that is some feedback that I've gotten. Most of it has been very positive and very supportive of me not seeking reelection, just saying, your time's not done. You have a chance in the future to give back and to serve again. And I love hearing that. In the back of my mind, what I hear is the people that I've helped to advocate for the past 4 years, and the questions that go unanswered, like who is going to advocate for them now, or how are they in danger of not being advocated for in the future? And those are kind of the emotions that kind of have been guiding my day-to-day since I've announced it. But for the most part, people have been supportive and said, it's a lot like, almost feels like a retirement, because one of the lines that I get all the time is, well, you're still going to be involved.
Yeah.
And true. And I think that's true of all three of us council members. We will still be involved in many other community projects.
Thank you. And then a follow-up to what you just said a few seconds ago. You mentioned advocating for certain people in Sioux City. Are we talking, what could you flesh that out a little bit? Any segments or people that you're specifically referencing?
There's a lot of people that I am a strong advocate for. People of color, especially immigrant families. It has become a very tumultuous time where the future of many immigrant families is undetermined. My wife comes from an immigrant family, and we're watching the news every day. It's a very stressful time, but also members of the LGBTQ plus community. As protections and diversity and equity initiatives have been rolled back at the federal level, and that's been parroted at the state level, we see this erosion of home rule. And with that erosion of home rule makes it more difficult to advocate for some of those groups that have been, kind of cast to the margins, unfortunately. My concern is, those are causes and people that I have tried to advocate for. And depending on, what the new council looks like, those may be initiatives that are no longer advocated for. That doesn't mean that I'm going to stop speaking out against what is wrong. I'm still going to very much so make sure that the people in the room that are making the decisions know right from wrong and what I perceive being right from wrong. But we just have to make sure that as a community, we rally behind the people that we see that need their voices heard as well.
Thank you, Councilman Matthew.
Yep.
Okay. My guests for this episode of What's Your Frequency are the 3 Sioux City Council members who have decided not to seek new terms in the November election. We've heard from Dan Moore and Alex Waters, and now we're checking in again with Matthew O'Kane, who's back for one more segment. What qualities do you think makes a person a good council member?
There is this kind of misconception that a council member, to be effective, has to hone their focus in one area. And I don't think that's entirely true. I think a lot is because we've been interviewing candidates for city manager, and that has been, a role that we were very passionate about getting filled. When I think of a good city manager, I think of somebody who is a little bit of an expert in every group, kind of a Renaissance person, if you will. And they know generally what is going on in every department at any given time. I think council members very much so have to align themselves with that sort of mindset. When it comes to specific areas, like for instance, if it comes to 911 services or anything to do with the WIC Commission, obviously I should be the council member that you come to for a more in-depth approach at what is going on in that specific department, because I sit on the WIC board. And so I think each council member will have a little bit more in-depth expertise with whatever boards or commissions they happen to be assigned to at the time. But you certainly still need to know what is going on in every department of the city. The other thing is I think a good council member asks questions, and especially asks questions on behalf of the people that might not be in the room when the discussion is being had. I like to use Dan Moore as an example of this because he is great at making sure that people that aren't at the table still have their views heard or have questions asked that may pertain to them. One thing I'm always appreciative of is when we're having a discussion and no parents chime in or ask questions, he makes sure to ask, well, if I was a parent and I was trying to A, B, or C, what would my concerns be? So he tries to look at problems from other people's perspectives, and that's one thing that I think is incredibly important for a council person as well.
Okay, thank you. That's a very thoughtful response. Thank you for that. And then
Yeah.
I guess kind of on the heels of that, what do you think you did in your time as a city councilman, and what do you see as like high points in terms of public policy that came during your 4 years?
That actually plays a part in why I decided not to seek re-election, because I do think that we've accomplished an incredible amount of things in the past 4 years. This was hot on the heels, right after COVID is wrapping up. We did not expand housing during COVID, obviously because there was a huge public health crisis, and so that tended to be the focus of local government. So some of the things that we've done is we've drastically expanded housing availability in Sioux City. Not just housing availability, but affordable or workforce housing. So the amount of housing that we have, the housing stock has been increased, but the variety of price points for that housing has been increased as well, and that has been tremendous. I also sit on the resident advisory board. The number of apartments that accept Section 8 vouchers has increased, which is always great because we want to get as many families housed as possible. but we've done, tons of other little things like our homeless prevention. We started a rental assistance program. We have used something called the Homeless Information Management System, or HIMSS, incorporated that to help track homeless individuals and connect them with services throughout multiple agencies. That's been hugely successful as well. We've had a huge investment not only in infrastructure, and in part thanks to COVID relief funds, but also to our quality of life amenities. We've opened more parks, we've redone and rehabbed parks, and we've really tried to make Sioux City a destination place. And that is one thing that I receive a lot of positive feedback around, is what we've done with our trail system. We've also expanded programs that have helped to bring equity and inclusion throughout the city. Although some of those formal ties to Sioux City have been pared back by the state and by the national government, there's still programs that we invested in, and they did help our city grow. Some of those things, just looking at the side of town that you live on, the equity that I've helped to kind of bring to the west side, I think, is important. One thing on the west side that I've heard all my life is people use that term and it has a derogatory meaning in Sioux City. And I go to school every day and I stare at a classroom full of kids who have that same experience as me. And so it's very important for me as a teacher to help them understand that is not a weakness, and that is not something that is wrong. That is a misperception that we've had in the city for a long time, and it's our job to correct it. And I think we've done a good job of that on the west side. And in terms of bringing businesses and jobs to Sioux City, we've been largely successful there too. All of those things kind of combined make it feel like that the three of us, especially in this last 4 years, us as a whole, as a council, have left Sioux City better than we found it 4 years ago. And that's played into the reason why I'm stepping away as well.
Okay. And I think early on you did say that you are potentially, you're not closing the door to future elective offices. Is that correct?
I am not. No, I'm not closing the door. I will consider running again, whether it be for council or for another position. I'm not done with public service, but I need some time to invest in my family and my career.
Okay. Thank you, Matthew O'Kane. And then to finish up, I guess, do you have any other observations on serving on the Sioux City Council specifically, or generally on an elective office that we haven't talked about before I let you go?
I have had the privilege of working with some of the most amazing people that work for the city of Sioux City, but also citizens. One thing that is incredibly apparent to me is that everybody cares about this city, and everybody wants to make the city better than it is today. They want a better Sioux City tomorrow than we have today. Everybody just has a different approach or different things that they prioritize. And the more you talk to someone, the more you realize where your path towards a better Sioux City and their path intersect. And if we can spend more time focusing on where those paths intersect, we can accomplish some things pretty easily.
Thank you for all that. I really appreciate you, Sioux City Councilman Matthew O'Kane.
Thank you for having me.
And that'll be a wrap for this edition of What's the Frequency. There's an atypical twist with the Sioux City Council this fall, as all three current council members are not seeking re-election, so we spoke with Alex Waters, Dan Moore, and Matthew O'Kane. So thanks to all three men for being my guests. As we move deeper into a second year for the show, thanks for being a part of our station as we work every day to tell the stories about Siouxland that inform, entertain, and expand the mind. Thanks for listening, and please join us again next week. What's the Frequency airs on Fridays at 10 a.m. and on Sundays again at 2 p.m. Make sure you also check out a few of our Siouxland public media music shows that air at 10 p.m. We have Hip Hop Chronicles on Thursdays, mixtape dance parties on Fridays with Earl Horlick, and 10 o'clock blues on Saturdays with Stumpy Steve Smith. For Siouxland Public Media, I'm Brett Hayworth.